Yeah. Welcome back to Lady Blue Sings the Blues. This is your girl, sometimes D.
And Kylie Too Smart.
We are here in it. We had our pep talk. We got some coffee.
Right?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Chia seeds, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, we don't drink coffee on the regular show just because it's usually our recordings happen at nighttime.
Yeah. We're in the morning. Look at us. Fresh face.
Kylie's over here looking cutie patootie in her nice little like afro puffs. Or half afro puffs.
Half-ro puff.
Half-ro puffs.
Accurate.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know what it is about this show, but we always switch off about who wears makeup and who's looking fresh. Like, you're looking fresh. I'm looking like, I just rolled out of bed and washed my face with it.
I mean, I think you meant to say you look fabulous.
Thanks. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Man, positivity. Kai Smart. Yeah, we were just, it's been a second. Welcome back. Thanks for coming back and staying loyal.
Oh.
And being there for us. We know that we're kind of like an amateur podcast, so like, braless and flawless.
I put on a bra today.
Yeah, I'm working through it.
I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we haven't seen you guys in a while. We just did not MadFest. Sorry, excuse me. Ugh. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers!
We just did anime.
We did anime. My first anime.
Yeah, we did anime. It was first anime. It was probably my 10th anime. No. Oh my god, is it 2021?
It's 2021.
Oh my god.
Your 11th anime? Your 50th?
Let me think. Yeah, 12th year doing anime, but not for the yeah, 12th year.
What a blurred.
Yeah, what a blur.
What a weeb. You're so great.
Yeah. No, I've been going to that convention for years. But yeah, the last few years I've only been going there just to do panels. Yeah. Panels, speaking the word, supporting others, making people feel heard. So that's always a good blessing. But yeah, this year we did our first kind of like subject-centered show, which, why don't you take it away?
I thought it was really...
No, what did we do, though?
Oh, we did a panel on Black representations in anime, and basically just how all of the Black and Brown content creators have influenced anime to grow and become inclusive and to just show different aspects of characters of color and like improve on telling our stories, improving on our facial features, giving us like beautiful textured hair, not making us just like some weird side character that disappears after they fulfilled like
no more
the entertainment check mark, and it was really great looking like through the history of it. Like, this was such an educational journey, like for myself. I really enjoyed doing this panel, and I really loved the feedback that we were getting.
Yeah, there was so much family in there. Like, shout out to you guys for being there for us, because like I know that there was a lot of locals and a lot of folks that I see at the conventions. I recognized your guys' names and stuff.
And especially for a talk that had like such a potential to be triggering for a lot of people, because it's like we're not just Black people in this space. Yeah. And we're talking to a space that's open and exclusive and like anybody can come in. And so there's a lot of people who, for them, like this just isn't even in their scope of reality to think about. And so anytime you have something new or you're like, hey, we've noticed like this lack of inclusion here, sometimes that can just be triggering and automatically like make you feel defensive about something that you love. And it was like, no, like please. We love anime. Like, love it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at my shit back here.
Look at it. Look at my shit back here. We love it, but it's like we also see, like, the need for improvement, but then we also recognize areas that have improved, and people were just, like, there were such gems in there.
Yeah, and also a huge shout out to the fanmade staff for just being, like, super cool about the process of planning this panel, like, being super cool about the whole time of, like, us getting ready. I also did a second panel with Al Podcast Matter, who I've done a few shows with, and as well as this is our 5th year of doing these diversity panels and making sure that us as convention goers feel heard. regarding disabilities, sensitivities to gender norms, and also just making sure that everyone is just having a good time, and also not targeting or profiling folks just because they're brown or black. So it was really nice to keep doing that. And then also like the feedback from family, they're saying like, we are so glad that you guys keep coming back and doing this. We do try to make more accommodations and changes based off of what you guys have discussed each and every year, because yeah, we live in a heteronormative and able-bodied society where it's really hard to kind of take us out of our bias unless someone brings it to our attention. So you're lucky that we're in a group of people who can hear you. So yeah, like, whoo,
Mr. Popo.
I know, Mr. Popo.
Mr. Popo, and I especially like. I loved hearing the different takes on Mr. Popo.
Oh yeah, going back to what our presentation.
Yeah, our presentation, and like having because we are approaching it as African Americans, in our experience with white supremacy, and looking at how Mr. Popo's portrayal like immediately like makes me angry. But some of those going back to just like the coonery, the charcuterie of it all.
The charcuterie.
But then you have people who are Pacific Islander or who are looking at Mr. Popo like, oh, like I got a similar reaction, but it wasn't coming from an African American standpoint. It's just coming from the colorism that exists in a lot of different Asian cultures. Mm-hmm. And then we started to talk about like Japanese imperialism and drawing parallels between those experiences. And it was really like, oh, we got to have like a major bonding session, I think, in there. And it was really like making bridges, cultural, exchanges.
Yeah.
So like, it was just phenomenal. I really loved that panel.
Yeah,
keep doing it. Keep doing it.
And we do have plans to do future conventions. Nothing confirmed yet because we still have to register, but we are looking forward to adding on to our repertoire, so we can talk about, the improvements of content when it comes to animation with, with those who are Black, but also we want to, talk about more nerdy and dirty things.
Nerdy and dirty. Oh boy.
Yeah, so I think we might add in like a segment about sexuality at some point, but that's just something kind of in the works, and something that's just kind of like, we wrote it down, we stuck it on the nice like cork board, and we're just gonna keep looking at it until something happens.
And the universe has answered, because girl, I got some people that we could reference for some nerdy and dirty talking about like intersectionality. I found someone who, watching their growth, moving from, identifying as like a gay Black woman to identifying as like maybe just pansexual, bisexual, and then identifying as, being actually like, what, I think I'm just going to be NB, and I'm just going to be non-binary, and like seeing what that journey was like for them. Jax Attacks, if you'd like to follow them on Instagram. Also is a lewd cosplayer. And so like talking about their experience, because people will automatically perceive them as like a sexy Black woman, and talking about their experience in like blurred spaces, being non-binary, and then also being into like sex work, voice acting, all of the things. Really great conversation with her and like Navy Montel, and they were talking about like different yaois. We got into, bruh, I discovered Dick Fight Island. Please. It's called Dick Fight Island!
Morning.
It's called Dick Fight Island!
Morning.
It's called Dick Fight Island.
Morning.
Please read it. Yes, good morning. Good morning, Morningwood. So there's many things I have now to share with you guys on Nerdy and Dirty. Look forward to it.
Oh my god. Yeah. Dick Fight
Island.
Is it like similar to like dick slang?
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Slang. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my god.
Is this like meat spin?
No, close. It was a while back ago, but it was all these like guys who were in a room, and like they were wearing like gray sweatpants, and they're like, all right, and they were listening to like some sort of like hip hop song, they're dick slang, and they started like wiggling their waist, and they're like, their dong just kept going back and forth, and it was just all of them in conjunction doing this. It was very locker boy. It was very, very locker room.
Locker room antics. Swing and I'm like, around.
In the gray sweatpants. Oh.
Hey. Thought pockets.
In the gray sweatpants.
Hey.
Oh my god. So last time on the podcast, you weren't here.
I was not here. We had a guest, and she was lovely.
We had Natasha Singa. She was very, very thank you so much, Natasha, for being here on the show. But let's actually kind of segue into our, how's our week? Yeah. So what's going on with you? I mean, you got 4 weeks to report, basically.
Why wasn't I here last week? Because my car exploded on me, but we hustled around here and turned around and got a new one. Woo woo, and it's the newest car that I've had. Man, the universe is just, look, people, when you're going through hard times, honestly, the best thing you can do is to not get bogged down in the stress and the sadness of whatever is happening, and to really focus your energy on what you need to do moving forward, because you're falling up, really. Just don't block your blessings.
When you're in a spiral, you're actually spiraling up.
You're spiraling up. No, but it was it's
not like a drain.
Not like a drain.
You want to go to heaven.
Direct
you
your
want
energy.
To stay in hell unless you're
Montero.
Yeah. Sorry, go on. It's such a good.
It is a good song, and so it's just sometimes when the going gets tough, the tough get going, then that pressure can really allow you to amaze yourself about the things that you can accomplish, and it.
So what was the process of getting the car? Your car exploded.
My car exploded.
Your car.
Please keep coolant in your vehicle. Okay. I was unfortunate enough to have someone meddling with my vehicle, and I had an older car, and I was I had gotten coolant for it. People, I did. I got the proper stuff for it, and somebody put water instead of the coolant. Whole story, car exploded, not good.
Also, don't let people that you listen,
Linda.
I have a large spectrum of friends, to say very politely, and there are some friends who I have definitely, they are well-meaning. They're well-meaning, but sometimes they will do stupid shit, and then they learn their lesson after doing that stupid shit. Just the ones that do the stupid shit more frequently, don't let them touch your shit like your car. Just don't do it. But also, I understand the predicament that you're in because they just help themselves.
They help themselves! My hood was open. I was going to get the coolant, and I turned around and I was like, what are you doing? Oh, you said you needed coolant. I'm like, well, I got coolant. Why are you putting water in my car? Problems. But we're problem solvers around here. Shout out to
Kylie's the biggest problem solver. Every time something happens to me, I'm flailing around like a chicken without its head, and I'm I don't know what to do. And Kylie's keep it cool. And then speaking of coolant. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, shout out Cardinale Way, Seaside. They really helped me out. I walked in there. I was just hey, I need a vehicle, and I was basically able to get into a car that day that I liked. So sometimes things just work out. I'm a lucky duck that way.
Yeah.
Plus, I've been grinding and doing the adult thing, so I have decent credit now, which really helps people. Get your credit together. Get it together. You'll be amazed at the things that you can do. Even things where you're oh, I have no business being able to turn around and buy a new car. It's yeah, you can actually. Just do it.
Yeah. For the adults that are capable of doing it.
Yeah, for the adults that are capable of doing it.
Or get, however you need to build the credit, but also make sure you always do auto payments.
Yes.
But also, those who are capable, I understand there are folks who are
There are folks who are, broke. But also just, there are some people who don't realize that they have as much power that they do, and so it's just they don't even try. They're just automatically discounting themselves out, which don't do that. Mm-hmm. You got to really believe in yourself, believe that you can accomplish these things, and even if you don't necessarily have the means now, just be hey, I'm gonna hustle, I'm gonna get this, it'll be done, got it.
Yep.
And then just stay on your stuff. So yeah, that happened. Vehicles happening. I had a whole bunch of drama with my homeowner's insurance, which I just switched up. I got State Farm, instead of Geico because Geico was on some bull, like just not communicating. They gave me like X amount of days to get some stuff fixed on my property, and like I fixed it and I sent them proof, and then they still weren't like communicating. And then my mortgage people were like, "Hey, we can't get a hold of your like insurance people to verify that you have insurance."
Oh no.
Oh my gosh, which they were gonna be like, "Oh, we're gonna have to do some other expensive thing if you can't provide proof." So I was like, you know, F that. Cut Geico. Got State Farm. Got a way better deal with State Farm. They're like, oh, hey, we noticed you have a vehicle and we can bundle with your homeowner's insurance and it'll be 25% off your homeowner's. I was like, yes, bring me all the blessings. Don't block your blessings. Get it. Don't be over here. I was stressing about Geico, calling Geico, emailing Geico, calling Veronica like,
I should have said, like, when I saw, so I didn't even, like, she didn't even have to tell me what was going on. I just saw the Facebook post, my car is dead. I went, this bitch is going to be out for 2 weeks. I was straight up like, I was just going to give her a call, like, do not come onto this podcast. Which is really important to notate. Like, life, fucking shit happens. It happens. And sometimes, like, it's okay to put your passions on hold. I know it sucks because we're always on this like grind culture. Like we gotta grind to get it, you know, and that's valid. That's absolutely valid. But at the same time, like if you know there's a thing in your life that gets in the way because and it stresses you out to be on time or whatever, the fact that just like you know, you can just be like, all right, I need 2 weeks off of it. So me being the person who saw that happening to her, I was like, this bitch isn't gonna, she got too much shit going on. And I was saying it out of love. I'm like, she got too much shit going on. So like I gave her a call and I'm like, listen, it's nothing against you. Don't come to the podcast.
Just come to the podcast.
No, I
will
will have somebody fill in who like, you know, we were gonna have her come on the show at some point anyway, but like we're just like, don't spread yourself thin. Like don't do it. Like just focus on your shit because I remember when I was getting my car. Oh dear Lord, like I went through like so it was my first time getting a car because my first car that I ever had. I bought it for my mom, so that was just like I got a car. Like I don't have to go through the buffoonery with car dealerships because that is also a whole ass deal. If you don't have a trusty car dealership, they're just gonna try to scam you. So I remember when my first car, like how my car ended is I crashed into a curb because I hydroplaned into it. And luckily no one saw me, so I'm like, okay, great. So I backed up and drove the rest of the way to work and I got to work and I parked the car and then I just like did my shift. And like some people are like, don't do your shift, you're in shock, you're gonna whiplash. But luckily enough, I worked at a pool, so like all of the whatever soreness that I would have gotten from that whiplash like subsided. And then when I got out to my car, I just looked at my friend who knew cars. I'm like, hey, so how much time do you have tonight? And he goes, what does that question mean? I'm like, no, I crashed my car before I got here.
He's like, hey,
and he's like, you crashed your car and you still came to work? I'm like, yeah. And he goes,
black women.
I'm like, yeah. And he goes, how are you? And then the person who was like, you know, there was like an OCD person, like, you're gonna have whiplash sores. I'm like, I'm good, guys. Just help me out with this car situation. Is my car good? And then like my friend went out, checked my car. He goes, no, your car's not good. The wheel is like mushed into the car.
No, your car is not good.
And so I looked at him like, oh. And then when I actually went in to try to start it to see if I could sneakily like just go up the street with it, it didn't start. So I just endgamed my car. So,
miracles. But look, you made it to work safe and sound.
Yeah. So I was just lucky there was no cop and there was no other car that got in the way. Like I was just very, very lucky. I was just like, all right, reverse. Let's go. Let's go to work. So I highly do not recommend, by the way. But
do not recommend.
So I then went to a car dealership and then I said, hey, my car's totaled. I want to trade it in. I'll trade it in for whatever minimal amount, but I just want to use that as a down payment for a car. This car dealership was like, yeah, we can do that. To the end of the story is, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, but we can't do that. We're not taking your car. I'm like, but you guys said you would take my car after I told you it was totaled. No, we're not taking your car. And then on top of that, I had pretty good credit. I didn't have like the best credit, but it was pretty plebeian. And so I That's so cute.
You have to be in credit.
And so I went to them and I said, what can I do? I have zero down payment, but I need to get a car with like a payment of per month about $200 because I knew they were going to exceed that. And so they're like, we can get you something for $280. I'm like, perfect, let's go. So they give me this car. And then they're like, we just have to make sure we find a bank that approves the loan, but the car is yours. You're going to have a loan approved, which was my mistake. I should have waited until that loan was approved. So then I got a bunch of mail the following day saying loan decline, no loan decline, loan decline. I got like 5 banks telling me that my loan was declined. And not one of those banks were the banks that I was banking with. And I was like, wait, hold up. And I called them up. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? Why are these loans being declined? And also, the more loans that you guys are declining, the more that you're screwing with my credit. And they're like, no, we're just trying. No, I'm like, no. You guys are fucking with my credit score by sending it all to these banks. I told you guys, which I forgot to tell the story, I told you guys I was banking with this bank. Why haven't you asked them? Well, no. You are only asking the people you guys are partnered with. Please fix it. So all these loans got declined, and then they're saying, hey, we can't give you the car. So I had to give them back my car, and it was some other guy that I wasn't working with at the beginning. And he goes, and I'm sitting there crying because I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I need my car to work. If I don't, or to work at a place, because if I don't have a car, then I'm fired, basically, for not being able to be reliable, which is the sad truth about ableism in our society, by the way, which we can go into in a second. But like, yeah, so I'm like trying to take the bus. I'm late to my shifts for like the next couple of days. And then they're like, well, what? And my job was like not willing to help. I tried asking people and they're like, well, we don't know. It's all this like apprehension of, and this is also another thing I learned with people, like, people are always willing to say that they're going to help you out, and then once it comes to that point when you need the help, even if it's a right to work, they're just going to be like, nah, bro, like, I can't help you. Or it's a lot of apprehensive, like, but things that you will receive after you're saying like, hey, I'm stuck in a rut, I'm trying to get a car, this is the situation, and then suddenly everyone's like, no, I can't help you out. And I've experienced this throughout my whole ass life. But yeah, to end this car story, um, yeah, so like I was a couple days without a car. I'm just like sad and pissed, and like, my credit is down like another 20 points. And then the person who I was working with before, she's like, we got you a loan. I'm like, what? And she's like, we got you a loan. You can pay 280. I'm like, nah, knock it down to 250. Okay, we'll have you pay 250. I'll talk to the person. But I spoke to a connection that I had at your bank, and they were willing to approve the loan. But I had to swallow $800. I'm like, great, you can swallow that cost. Give me the car. You guys are done. You guys have gotten paid because you guys got whatever money that you got from it, and I'm gonna have to do these payments for the next 5 years. So thank you. But yeah, like, it was just really weird because I think what happened in our side is like, wait, what do you mean you didn't sell her the car? And so there was probably some like kind of like, how car dealerships work. There's like a number of, I'm pretty sure, and please, whoever's listening, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure there is a base salary that you get or base hourly that you get on top of the commission that you get for selling a car.
Yeah.
So like, and then also because a lot of car dealerships are corporations, like, they're gonna base your numbers, the number of sales, on how long they can keep that facility in that location. So if you're not doing so hot, they'll close down your location. That's just my assumption. But anywho, yeah, so I got a car through all that bullshit. But also, like, I really had to be like, I had to yell at them, and then, like, they had to take it away from me and then give it back to me. And then they were like, well, we had to do this. I'm like, well, you guys already docked my credit down by 20 points. So that's what you have to suffer if I have to suffer. So that was my kind of like getting a car story. Black women.
Black women, just like, if I have to suffer, you have to suffer. We're all suffering. No, I was very lucky in my experience, but also I was facing pressure from my job.
Mm-hmm.
Because
so also jobs, be better about that. Like, I
was told I couldn't get approved to work from home that day. I literally had to like hustle, get a car, drive back up here like an hour away, turn in some stuff. This chia seed's gotten. I got like one chia seed stuck at the back of my throat.
Oh no,
I'm gonna drink water.
Yeah, go grab water. Yeah, so like, let's talk about like the heteronormativity, or not heteronormativity. You know,
It's Pride Month.
It's Pride Month. That's my favorite word this month. Heteronormativity. But it falls into cis culture, and it's also like it's also another subcomponent of like white supremacy. So it's like I'm not saying it's directly white supremacy. I'm not saying anybody who's in.
I was like, my previous manager was gay and he was cool as shit. Okay, my current manager, she's straight as heck.
I hate when I say very inflammatory things. I have to like defend myself immediately. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying because you're white that you're like, supremacy. I have it. I'm going to try all the means to keep it. Like, I'm not saying like you directly as a white person are just like that you're immediately a jerk. I'm just saying that there is a systemic structure around it.
No, I mean, bro.
Let's identify the difference.
Come out of your mouth sometimes, like you're just not thinking about how that will be perceived by the people around you. Even my mom, she was saying some out of pocket things. She sang a little song like "Jump Down, Turn Around, Pick a Bale of Cotton," and I was just like, Mother, absolutely not. We're not doing that today. I was like, did you just tell your black child to go pick some cotton? I'm having a bad day, Mother. Today is not the day." But so it's like things like that, and like it's even worse when you're in a professional setting because how do you call that out? Like when it's my mom, I can just say, "Mom, knock that shit off. It's not cool." But if it's my supervisor,
if it's your supervisor, you're just like you uncomfortably just like smile and blink your eyes a few times, and everything in your brain is just hollering,
screaming,
just hollering, saying, just like you better tear them apart, and you're like, I really need this money.
I need to get paid so I can make my car payment.
I need to keep the lights on. And so that's a lot of the times, like there is a lot of that, but like like jobs need to be better about like what happens to an employee when things like this happen, like the car falls apart, your employer, your whatever thing in life that just interrupts your flow, like just understand, like especially with your high performing like team members, just be more accommodating, and also don't structure your job around making things reliable around one person too. So like that's just the other thing, because like I hate hearing stories of someone who loses their car and then they just are unable to, or they just get fired because of like unreliability or whatever bullshit reason, or at will employment bullshit reason.
Yeah, like they're like, oh well, this doesn't fit the needs of our business, and you're like, well, like I was juggling and doing everything to make your business run. So maybe you should review how you have things structured and possibly like provide me with more support so that if I do happen to have a day where I can't come in the office, it's not like the whole thing comes to a halt. And if the whole thing comes to a halt,
then something's flawed in the structure.
Yeah. And also, you best pay me some more money. Look, your whole business then came to a stop.
Yeah, and that's really sad because I know that there's been a lot of places I worked for where it's like they found a system where everything's integrated, so even if one person's out, someone can easily jump back in. And I love that. But the places that are just so reliant on like having that one person there is like, or even having like a large operation, and then but like only having like two people do the thing, like that's impossible, that's stupid, that's not smart planning, and that really constricts people to stay bound to their seats.
Yeah,
so there needs to be a better method of going about this, because like I'm so sick and tired of seeing people work for these shitty wages, exploiting the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And then like if they're gone for the day, like operations can't happen. Like that's a flawed system. And I always try to advise against that. Like whenever like I work for places, like if someone's like, oh well, we need you, I'm like, actually it needs to be a us. It needs to be an us thing, not a you thing, an us thing. Because I'm so sick and tired of it. Like it's embarrassing. Because like how embarrassing is it if someone's out for a week because like they break their leg? You're gonna have them come in because they break their leg,
and then get angry at them and be like, you should have broken your leg.
Yeah, so shout out to all the press releases with Amazon for having COVID workers in there because they didn't have any other place to go, because they just didn't have means to leave, or actually no, that's a different structure, my bad. Control Z. Control Z.
Control Z. No, I think also like we were
That's a
talking
different type
about.
of exploitation, but we'll talk about that later. This shitty ass like with the fucking Doctor Strange. No, what are those fucking time capsules called from Doctor Who? What is that fucking time capsule called? They installed a bunch of those fucking time capsules at fucking Amazon for people to just like decompress instead of actually like paying them a livable wage.
That's crazy.
They have decompression tanks.
That's nuts.
Like,
I mean, that's kind of nice, but like that's nuts.
No, it's not nice. They did it in response of people feeling like overworked.
I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, so they
But
installed.
like, I would kind of like
They
one at my
installed all
job.
these like little phone booths saying like if you need a break, you can just go in there and just like but it's in the middle of the warehouse. It's not like in a break room. It's
Oh, that's
not,
awkward.
Yeah, like so it's like if you go in there and you decompress and you come out, it's almost the same thing of like taking a shit, but the walls are like see through. Everyone
I feel
can
like
see
that'd
that.
be more
It's
anxiety.
like everyone can see you suffering as soon as you leave the room. Like that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Just
I mean, it does from the corporation standpoint. The corporation standpoint was like, these fucking pussies. Let's give them their goddamn break room and let's put it in the most uncomfortable place possible. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I was just also thinking about the conversation that we had earlier about how like managers typically are people who get promoted because they are not very good in their positions, and so they're like, let's just promote them and get them out of the way. And the people who are really good at their jobs, they will just keep in their position because they're like, hey, they're good at this. Like, don't promote them, keep them there. We need them there. Like, they're doing good, things are functioning, and it's just like,
ew.
Yeah, gross.
No, that makes me want to start my own business.
Yeah, let's start our own business. Yes, this is the lesson, you guys. Corporations are not here for you. You got to be here for you, and you got to be here for your communities. Start your own shit.
Yeah,
we're working on it. Working on it.
I'm just the fucking I think just a lot of flawed things just for like someone got a huge cut of money recently and it just made me really mad. It's like, how are you gonna cut these people's jobs and how are you gonna cut their pay or furlough them? But like somehow during the pandemic, like you somehow got like a $3 million increase.
You done come up 3 mil.
$3 million increase in your salary. Like what? For sitting around and just saying yes, exactly that. Don't do that. Like yes, exactly that. Don't do that. Not quite. Not gonna sit in line. It's not gonna align with our donors. Will it align with the community? Yes, but will it boost my salary? No.
No.
Like it's just working is hard. Working is hard because like I was talking to Cash the other day about how like remember like the image back in like the 60s where like everyone goes to their job and they're kind of dressed like See's Candymen.
Yeah.
And like it's either that there was some sort of like pride with dressing up, looking like you're polished.
They were on their Norman Rockwell shit. Like,
and perfect. Like and also like things were not as expensive as it was then. So like people were able to have more pride in the positions that they were taking. So like if you're an ice cream guy for like 40 plus years, you're an ice cream guy for 40 plus years because you were able to afford the things that you were able to afford. And then same thing with if you were, you know, a door-to-door salesman for 20 years, you were able to do that and take pride in that and be comfortable because it somehow manifested itself in being a hobby, a way to learn how to talk to people, but also whatever money you were making was able to sustain the house that you got and the American dream and all that shit. But now, that's not the case. Like housing prices, college prices, tuition, whatever prices, it's all pricing. But all that stuff has inflated so much that it's like working just doesn't. There's no pride in work if work doesn't really keep you in a comfortable place. Like that's why I feel like millennials aren't having kids and all that stuff because when they work, I remember my first job. My first job was at a roller rink, and I made $7.25 an hour. And before that, California bumped up the hourly. It was $6.80 something, and so I was making probably less than $70 for a whole last week, or per paycheck for a whole weekend, or something to that effect. And I was like begging for hours because I'm like, oh, I need to pay for school, I need to pay for gas, I need to pay for my MST card, which is the shout out to MST by the way, but it was the bus pass, and so like and I was also trying to pay for my own food because I wanted to eat healthier, but like that $70 would go like that. And then my mom on top of that was like, you gotta pay rent because of that whole like old like ideology of like being black in the household. Like parents expect you to start paying rent once you get the job, but really I wanted to pay rent. I didn't want to hold back from holding that money. It's like, oh yeah, I can contribute to the household. Like I was thinking like that was my opportunity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I'm making $7 an hour and not even getting the full 20 hours per week, like there's no way. Plus taxes that snatch it from you. Like the taxes are gonna snatch it from you.
Yeah.
So it was like it's like wow, how can I take pride in work when work isn't really like I can't even make enough to go find another apartment in Monterey. Like there's millionaires in Monterey.
Yeah.
And
millionaires in Monterey that don't actually like live there year round. You know what I mean? Like they'll buy a property and then they'll be like, oh yes, for a few weeks out of the year I'll live here, and then
yeah, taking up space. They're just taking up space for no reason. I'm gonna take off these flip flops before I throw it at somebody.
Take off your flippy floppies, your chanclas, your chancletas.
My Guadalajara mama will be proud of me.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
Go on. So yeah, so it's just like things like that where it's just like we're trying to live, make a living wage, and just support ourselves.
Even the living wage is bogus. Like I'm sorry, Bernie Sanders, I love you to death, but like $15 an hour doesn't cut it anymore.
Where are you gonna live for $15
yeah,
an hour?
Where are you gonna live for $15 an hour? Where?
Like
I'm still like making more than $15 an hour, and I can barely afford to live here.
And that's the other thing. It was just like it's literally you can afford to rent a room, and it's just like,
do we want to live with other people? No. No offense to my roommate. I appreciate my roommate for the person that he is, but do I want to live with people for the rest of my life that I don't know, that I have to reestablish relationships and like pretend it's all cool
and boundaries
and reestablish boundaries because their foundation of boundaries from how they grew up is much different than the boundaries than how I grew up. I'm not gonna lie, different households have different boundaries. And culturally so there's very similar ones with culture too.
Culture is a big thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like that's a whole fucking joke. So like the whole thing where like, people are angry, people are fatigued because they're doing jobs that they're not proud of. I remember when I was growing up, like there was this guy named Dave and he worked for the Luckies in Pacific Grove and he loved that job. But it was because he was like able to live off of it.
Yeah.
You work at Lucky's now as a millennial trying to find a house. We're not going to be happy. We're all pissed off because we're just doing this to go through the motions and we're barely getting by and we're just doing it to just keep the lights on. Like we can't really buy cars off of it. We can't really buy a house off of it. It's just, or, I mean, if you can, great, but it means that you probably didn't go to college or you probably don't have or if you're able to live off of it, you have a support system that can like, boost whatever it is to get you into these spaces.
Yeah, and so the whole college comment, that's been something that's been weighing on my mind lately, going back and like just talking to a lot of my friends and seeing how their lives have unfolded and seeing where people are. And I've noticed that some of my most successful friends are the people who opted to not go to college and who opted to invest in themselves. And honestly, it's just like I feel that so much. But then I also turn around and I look at how corporations utilize college experience and degrees as a way of justifying the salary they pay you. And like in my case, there's a bunch of positions in my company where it's just like I'm totally qualified for. I'm able to do those duties. I have the experience to do that, but it's just like I don't have a degree. And so I'm watching someone who is like,
oh, and jobs will make up any excuse.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm watching someone who has a degree, but who doesn't have any of the experience now come to ask me to train them for something. And I'm just like, I feel a way about it. I feel bitter about it. And I really want to be like, you know what? There's a whole department. There's a training department. Please go to them because they get paid and I don't get paid. And you're telling me that I wasn't qualified for this position and yet you're going to send someone for me to train? Boom, crap. Get the hell out of here. Like, this is bull. Like,
yeah,
on like, my last nerve.
I sit here sometimes at jobs and like this is an overarching thing with all jobs. So they're all guilty of it, but basically it's one of they're all guilty of it, but I'll have somebody who will sit there and look at me who was on the salary administration, and they'll say like all these things, and they're making all this money before me, and they say I have a house, I have all these lavish things, and then when it comes to the actual skill set of them actually doing something, they'll come to me saying like, hey, I need help downloading this image.
I don't know.
I'm
how,
like,
oh, downloading.
what?
Wow.
Downloading a what? On your what? On your computer?
Adding attachments to emails. I can't.
Someone had the nerve to tell me that a PNG was a PDF. A PNG is a PDF, guys. Someone had the nerve. And I had to sit there with blinking my eyes, because again, I blink my eyes, and so thank God for the mask, dude.
Yeah, I'm very expressive. Like everything comes through my face.
I roll my eyes a lot on accident.
Terrible.
Like I'm a big eye roller. I don't need to eye roll sometimes, but sometimes when someone asks me the dumbest things, I'm like, were you at that meeting?
No.
But yeah, like I had to sit there and say like, right click, save image, add. But it's not like that on all of the things. When it's copy image or save image, same deal, just slightly different. Like you're going through a different room to get to the same room, or you're going through a different door to get to the same room.
As per my previous email.
Yeah.
I've been having to use that a lot. It's kind of funny.
Oh, I'm doing per the calendar a lot.
Per the calendar. So like the thing that gets me is just like if I send you something and it's like already laid out, and then you send me like a question back on something that's like already been addressed, like that gets to me. Like I really don't know how to handle that sometimes. And people are like, oh, just, it's Mercury retrograde. Communications is going to be difficult.
No, you do not dare tap into the millennial keywords to try to make it so I empathize with you.
But hell no. But it's like, you asked me to do something that's already done, though. Like, it's already done. But it's already done. Like, you can see it. If you open the file, it's already done. It's already done. Just submit it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so,
or someone will ask me for an attachment for something, and I'm like, you can easily keyword this. You can easily keyword this.
Or it's on a shared drive and we all have access to it, so why are you asking me to send it to you when you can just go into your drive?
And do
when did this episode become the
Yeah, so
Millennials at work.
Yeah, Millennials at work. Yeah, and that's a good title.
Yes, that's a good look at us. Look at us.
So anyway, I think we get upset about this because it's like we're making all these mediocre wages to do all this extra work, and we're doing all these mediocre wages to be all like accommodating and shit because we were taught to be helpful, we were taught to be resourceful.
Yes.
But the parties that ask us to be resourceful are not giving us the same energy. So like, they
or even providing us with the same resources that they themselves got.
And these are also people who are making a lot more money than us. So it's like if you're making all this money and you're saying that you have all these skills, and you're saying that you've had all this history with all these skills, and you have all this history with your whole like 40 plus years of working, then how come you're unable to pan up to what I'm capable of doing?
Because you're brilliant.
And I say me as in like a large spectrum of millennials who are, and I say millennials as another keyword. God damn it, I hate that word sometimes. Because it's definitely a label, but it's a label to make it very clear. And no, I'm not gonna add them in there. But the whole point is like we're almost 40 years old. We're constantly being discriminated against in the workplace.
10 years
We're told that we're unable to make these wages, that we have to earn our way just like the other ways. But like the thing is, remember, the best workers will come out when they feel like that their work is a hobby and that their work is a place that they feel good about going to. But if you feel like it's a place that is miserable for us to go to because you're just throwing us scraps, and then also back when the place that we have to return to is not the ideology of what we call home, then we're going to be fucking miserable. So it's like, yeah, everyone's like, well, you gotta change your attitude. Sure, I'd love to change my attitude about it, but like, I would like to put, some old like Gen Xer or some baby boomer in our position. They would not be happy in the scenario that we would be in. They would ask for more. They would definitely ask for more, and they would riot.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the difference? That's my whole fucking work rant.
I mean, I feel like a lot of it is just people are self-centered, and so it's like, especially when you get people in a position of power, they're like, oh well, I already have everything, like my needs are met,
so I don't give a shit about you.
I don't give a shit about anybody else's like needs, and they're just like, well, go figure it out. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So work rant.
Work rant over. Let's rant about some funner things. What do we got going on? Anime, gaming, you get into some new stuff. I started watching Castlevania. Ha ha ha. I'm only like a few episodes in. I'm already like just
Okay,
laughing
sorry.
about it because like one white woman just holds the world in her hands and then they kill her and now Jack's mad.
Oh,
It just made me laugh. She's like,
oh,
they don't know what they're doing.
You're
I've
the
been like
first
literally
season.
like the first few episodes. I was like, okay, she wants to be a doctor, and he's like, sup, and she's like, sup. You killed my wife.
Okay, here's a splash of nerdy and dirty.
You
So
had 1 year.
listen, he made a family with this woman, right? And I'm
Didn't
like,
turn her. Did not turn her.
but
like,
he had a child. But here's what I'm concerned about. In every photo of like, you know, that like over the fireplace photo of like him, Alucard, and that woman, I forgot her name, but his fingernails are like really sharp and really tall. So I'm like, I hope he cut his fingernails before he did the thing. Because they all venture down there. All men venture down there with their hands.
Men venture.
So I hope she didn't get all cut up and shit. Ooh.
I was
Men,
thinking about that.
Cut your fingernails.
Cut your fingernails. Yes. You know what? I think that's so funny because people are like,
I kept paying attention to that one detail and I kept going like,
it's because you're very gay. It's because you're gay. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the gay trope where you're like, how gay is a woman? Check out her fingernails. And I'm like, yep.
No, but like,
but dear men also, like, you care about your women. I'm gonna
flip the page real quick. The reason why I keep my nails super short is so that way I don't get dirt underneath them. Because like all the stuff that I do at work, I get a bunch of dirt and it grosses me out. So I clip them very short, so that way the dirt doesn't just like hang out there and have a party. You know?
Yes.
Maybe create a corporation. Maybe some flying cars and shit. Okay, I do wash my hands, guys. More than 20 seconds, please.
Washes her hands, clips her nails. She's very clean. But yes, that is funny. You would pay attention to that like one detail on Castlevania, like, sir, your nails. Excuse me, sir, your nails.
I think I also think about the one time that one time I was doing a thing with a guy and like instead of him like gently like, you know, massaging the clitoral area, he was scratching the clitoral area, and I had to politely like slowly
kick him in the face. What is that?
I know. It was more like a maneuver. So like you just
no.
You just slowly like no. We don't do that. It's this motion, not this motion.
Oh God! Ow! That is so terrible. Like, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Normalize having women give you feedback and not be like hurt about it.
Yeah, because then I have to switch it up. I have to be like, no, like this.
Like use the pads of your fingers.
I mean, also the approach of telling people is a huge deal because language is musical. So like, if you're progressive, be like, nah, bitch, don't do that. Like,
make the style stop. Don't fuck me like that. Fuck me like this.
Some people like it.
Some people like it like that. Some people need the preschool approach. Hey, honey, like, good job. Praise sandwich. You're doing this good. Maybe don't use the nails so much, and then continue doing this. You're doing a good job. We're gonna get there together. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Find whatever communication style works best for you. How did we get here?
Castlevania.
So I started watching Castlevania, and then I started rewatching Attack on Titan because I feel like there were just a lot of things that I kind of missed. And like,
oh girl, we're all lost.
We're all lost.
Yeah.
I'm rewatching it from the beginning. I think I'm like maybe 8 or 9 episodes into like the first season. I was just like, wow, this show really wasn't like pulling any punches.
Yeah, like I think with that show in general, like at first I was very engaged, and then the most recent season, I'm just like, where the fuck are we?
Where are we? What's
like
happening?
There was a lot of things that I'm like revolution, but I'm like now there's regions fighting each other, and it definitely reminds me of the inspiration of the conflict of like Israel and Palestine for sure. Because like these people look very similar to each other, but no matter how you're marked or like, and I'm not saying like Palestinians look exactly like people from Israel. Like, I'm not saying that, but like, you know, the features I feel are very close to somebody who's like third person away from this the whole thing. But
well,
yeah,
I mean, if you're in the same region and the only thing that's different about you is your religion, then you're all gonna look the same.
yeah. So like going back to Attack on Titan, like it's the same thing. Like the regions are so close, and I'm not sure what the difference is. I think they really focus on the region, not the religion. Mm-hmm. And so, but like it was just like, oh, if you're
from the outer wall versus the inner
wall.
No,
oh, you're not that far yet.
No, I'm telling you, I'm rewatching the first season. The first season.
I'm gonna stop.
And
talking.
I only ever watched the first season.
Gonna stop talking.
Spoilers.
Spoiling. Long story short, there's a conflict.
There's a conflict.
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere for me, and I'm just like
I just kind of already saw it brewing with the whole like, oh, I want to be in the military police because I'm going to be in the castle, like.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to be on the outside. There's very elitist bullshit. Yeah. Like, okay.
You're going to lose your mind once you find out a particular. Which episode are you on?
I think I'm on like 8 or 9 in the first season.
You're going to lose your mind about one particular Titan showing a quality that they can do, and you're going to be like, what the fuck? So, yeah.
Yeah, Aaron just popped out of his little Titan body.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, there's more. There's more. But yeah, like it got very like anyway, I'm not gonna talk anymore because I'm just gonna spoil it.
Spoilers.
But yeah, I need to watch the whole entire series anyway over again because like something happened between the transition with this recent season and the last season that I'm like, where did I miss this?
What happened?
Yeah. So
what?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're doing Attack on Titan.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I started watching it at work because it was helping me with my rage.
Yeah. Sneaking movies into work. That's great.
Yeah, it was great. It is.
Raise your hand if you try to sneak in a movie at work.
Look, movies at work. I sneak in dance breaks at work. I'm like, you know what? We leave the dance breaks. Everybody needs them. Dance at work. It's great.
It really helps, especially if you know that you're not going to be interrupted for like a couple hours, that you're just like, okay, here's some background noise. It's like conveniently in view, and I'm just gonna. And I also have like a Bluetooth earphone, so like let the hair just kind of, just do the thing.
I want my big headphones so everybody knows. Don't talk to me. I got my 3 screens going, new like some Excel sheets happening over here, some email and crap happening over here. There's definitely just Netflix, Attack on Titan happening over here. Anybody turns around and they're looking at my computer like, oh, okay, just leave her alone. She's watching a show where people are eating people's. Just leave her alone. Oh, just my phone. Oh, don't leave her alone. Yeah. This is the vibe. That's the vibe at work.
Yeah. I'm over here like, did you read your email first? Don't bother me unless you read your email first. And then if it's
having a bad. I used to be like the nicest, cuddliest person.
Oh no, absolutely.
You could literally come to me and be like, oh hey, I don't know how to, and I get this one a lot. I don't know how to share my screen on the Zoom presentation. Can you help me? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll walk you through it. Get back to my desk.
So you're gonna come to me instead of looking at a YouTube tutorial?
Yes, and I get a lot of that. Or it's like simple things. We're just like, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, well, here, let me help you with that. Let me help you with this. Let me help you with that. And then after a while, it started to be like, didn't I already show you this? Don't you already know what that is? Haven't I filed this already? My filing has an organizational system. Don't you know? Like, you didn't look it up in the tracker. You didn't look it up on the... Okay, so you just want me to go over there and find it for you. And we're not about that life no more. Like, please, stop handing me paperwork that you can file yourself. La-di-da-di, we're here to party. And
we're here to party.
I like, she's rubbing off on me terribly because I really will be like, oh, like, didn't I already show you how to do that?
Yeah, no, I'm always like, if someone's like, action item, I need you to do an action item. I'm like, did you email it to me? And that's always been like that with all my jobs. Like,
I'm like, is this burnout? What's happening?
Some of them are more like if someone's been unconditionally nice to me the whole time, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll help you with it. But if it's someone who's always been like flim-flammy with me, I'm just like,
flim-flammy. You've been so flim-flammy.
Because I don't trust you at this point. Like, I need to see an email. Like, I need to see an email because I'm not going to come back to you saying like, oh, I don't need that anymore. Because that's happened to me a lot.
So just like asking
If you
questions
absolutely
that
need it,
already
send me the
answered.
email. And then sometimes I take it to another level. If I wait 3 days and they email me about it again, I'm like, okay, they actually really need it. And then I'll just get it done like that. It just really depends. Like, I hate to do the it depends like factor, but especially with like low pressure jobs like that, it's like it really depends. But with high pressure jobs, like that's different. Like you got to make sure you do the thing right then and there, because like if you don't do it right then and there, then it's like it's gonna pile up.
That's kind of like where I'm at, because it's not just that it's like oh hey, you have to do this thing, but it's just like literally other people's housing depends on it. So like I understand that kind of pressure, where it's like, hey, we're trying to, the actions that we do or the inactions that we take really do have a direct effect on other people's like lives and well-being.
Yeah. No, I think there's no, absolutely. Like,
I'm like,
I know we're making all these like silly comments about like how do we communicate at work, but like on the real, like these things, to be clear, like happen very rarely for me. Like it's when it's like if it happens like 3 days, 3 times in one day, I'm just like, where did the communication fall? Where did it fall?
Just having it.
We're back into the work talk again. We gotta talk about Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Speaking of Netflix,
it's really easy to jump into that pool and not get out.
Get out of work. Stop talking about
Get out of it.
Get out of it. Talk about Netflix and the things that you're watching. Are you watching anything else?
I wanted to. I actually wanted to check out Sweet Tooth.
Right? I was going to say, have you checked it out? I have not.
So the thing is, I actually trolled the shit out of the posting of Sweet Tooth on Twitter. And so like how the promo starts is like it starts with like this baby like hybrid that's with a dog, and then the next thing it pans over to a baby hybrid with a bird, like a human baby, like, and then it pans over to this little boy with like little antlers. And so I'm like, did Shao Tucker come in the scene? Because like this is some Full Metal Alchemist shit right here. And so I immediately went into the comments and posted Shao Tucker's face. And then there were so many people who got upset. They're like, delete this. And like, so it's very rare for me to get like a viral tweet, because like I'm not all that. But like
you are all that.
But like the thing is, it was just funny because like I feel like there's this contest where if there's a small smidgen about a kid and an animal being fused together, and especially if it's a dog and a child, immediately it's like the first comment trend. Like someone's there immediately being like, Shao Tucker, or or like Nina and her dog. And so I was the first comment for that. And so so like people like, delete this is insane. And then someone's like, you didn't have to do all that. And I'm like, I didn't start this. Square Enix and
that episode still gets me.
Square Enix started it. Square Enix started this first, and they're like, stop it. But yeah, so like I trolled the shit. I mean I didn't troll the shit out of it, but I just like posted it. I thought it was a good response. But then I was like, okay, so I think it's another Marvel like spin-off. So I'm like, I'll check it out, see what's going on here. So yeah, I was gonna check out that, and then I still need to finish Yasuke despite your like resentment for it. So.
No, like finish it, please finish it. Like I finished it, and I'll probably rewatch it just because first impressions are first impressions. I'll rewatch it and see if I'm still as salty and bitter about it, and I probably will be like, oh, you never know. I will watch it again and see. I'll admit, it just has this potential to actually, like, Yasuke is a cool character in his own right. They didn't need to do that to Yasuke. I still liked it. It was great.
Yeah.
Good job.
And I think I still need to finish the last season of Castlevania. So while you're still at the beginning.
Yes, while I'm at the beginning, like literally just he started, it's been a year. I gave you 1 year. Like, y'all didn't believe this man? He done popped up in flames and told you 1 year. I definitely would have been out that same night. I'd have been like, cool.
It's like someone telling you like a meteor is going to show up in this region in this area. It's like, all right, peace.
Super specific. I will give you 1 year, and then I'm going to wreck your whole life. And I was like, cool. This man just popped up out of nowhere in the sky, just flaming. I'm out.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Let's get some closing notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get to some closing notes. So, a couple of things that we want to bring attention to, and I brought it attention to in our last podcast episode with Natasha. Support the campaigns and support the organizations that have been protesting for the death, protesting San Jose police on behalf of Demetrius Stanley. Demetrius Stanley was wrongfully murdered in San Jose, and so another black life gone because of the police. I don't really have much to say about it because it's like literally absolutely a year ago I was out on the streets protesting for George Floyd, and now it's Demetrius Stanley who's literally right around the street from us.
Yeah.
So it's like I am speechless because of the amount of promotional marketing that San Jose police did to show that they were the good ones, they were the good guys, they do racial bias training. Another black guy got killed. And then it's also they have record of killing, you know, a lot of Latinos in the area as well. So it's like this isn't news, and I'm really tired of these faulty marketing scams of saying that they are the good ones when there really isn't good cops. If a good cop would be unarmed, a good cop would actually take the time to be like, hey, we're just doing a quick check. Hope you have a good night. And they should have left that man alone. But instead, they showed up to his house in plain clothes. And of course, if it's at 9 p.m. at night, sorry, I'm getting like really emotional about it. If it's 9 p.m. at night and some guy comes out trying to protect his family because they see strangers in plain clothes like lurking around his house, of course he's going to probably find the first thing to defend his family with, and of course he's probably going to be armed because he's protecting his family. It's the same concept of when you go onto somebody's farm and they're trespassing on their property or luring around their property as a threat. Because you don't know what those people are going to do. You never know what someone's going to do if they're just lurking around your house. So of course he's going to come out and be like, hey dude, get the hell away from my house. But instead he gets murdered. So it's really, really heartbreaking to hear that these stories happen, and like this was completely irresponsible of the police, and the police should take accountability, but of course with all big organizations they will not. And so we're going to have to keep fighting the fight and try to find some justice and closure for this family because this was not right. Like if the police were there to just do a quick check to see if everything's all good, they should have shown up in their cop cars, they should have shown up in their equipment and just checked everything out. So then that way he would at least know to stay in his house. But instead, because you guys were in plain clothes.
What kind of Gestapo shit is this? What kind of Gestapo shit is this?
I just get upset because there's a lot of people online who are just like, well, he shouldn't have came out with a gun. I'm like, literally, let's talk about people and their weapons. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't like guns in the first place, but I also understand that if people have a gun to protect their property, that's their business and that's their defense. Like, I get that. But it's just like, he shouldn't have had a gun. He shouldn't have a gun. He shouldn't have like went into a person's car. I'm like, well, what if we like, you know, flip the obvious script and read the room? If that was anybody else, if that was a white guy.
I mean, so to me, we're fresh off of a mass shooting too.
Yeah.
And it's like just seeing the different responses and how people talk about that, like boggles my mind that they would even equate the two. You know, because people are like, oh yeah, look at this mass shooting, he had a gun, and they're like, yeah, and this black man, he had a gun too, and I'm just like, whoa. No, nay. They are entirely different. I was like, this man was not out looking for trouble. He was literally at home at night, and if you watch the video, he literally doesn't even actually like engage. He walks the perimeter of his property. He's like, what the fuck's going on? And then when he's walking back into his home, that's when he gets assaulted. And it's just like he's literally just trying to make sure that his family is safe. So that argument, people need to stop trying to rationalize or hide their disgust and their hatred for black people by trying to equate them with like other mass murderers. And it's just like, that's not the narrative here.
Yeah, because he wasn't out there like shooting up a bunch of people in the neighborhood. He was literally out there to check the perimeter because so people were running around his house. And that's scary at 9.
At night, yeah. Fuck.
At 9 p.m., 9:30, whatever.
Like, I don't have
whatever.
The sun is down.
The sun is down. Yeah. The sun is down. So it's like if the sun is down, things get real scary real fast because you can't see anything. It's a natural human response. And so if you see movement going on, you're like, what the hell is that? That never happens around my house. Ever. like especially during the end of the pandemic where people are still like being apprehensive about coming out. Are you serious?
Yeah.
So if please support the organizations. I know Black Tent, Hero Tent, no Black, not Black Tent, Hero Tent, and Black Outreach Center. They have been doing the work about like supporting these families. So please support them by supporting them. And there's also a couple of campaigns out there to help the family as well. So please keep your eyes peeled. And then last but not least, another thing to kind of call attention to is that um, please support the family if they have moved forward. Like there was a 6-year-old black child that was shot in Michigan.
Oh my God, that story.
By Ryan Le Nguyen. And so please, and his bail, I believe, was 10 grand.
They've raised it.
They did raise it?
They did raise
okay,
it.
Good.
Okay, so if you guys don't know what this story was, there was a little child who was on his bike and he was just riding in the neighborhood, and I guess he had like turned in a neighbor's yard, and this neighbor was like so upset that this little black boy was on his property that he ran after him with a sledgehammer. Okay, so then the kid had dropped his bike, ran away. Kid came back to get his bike. Homie was inside, and he shot at him from inside of his house and hit this little kid in the arm. All right, and there's video of the shooting, and you hear this kid crying like when he realizes that he's been hit. He's shot, like this little kid, and he gets back to his home, right? And then they set the bail for this man so low that he's back in his house like the fucking same day. 10 G's is what they set it at. And so, like, thankfully, everybody started rallying around this family because, like, that is fucked up. It's attempted murder, and you're gonna shot a child. Like, you're gonna send this man home. It's okay. It's fine. Like, shooting black children is fine. And so he's back in jail now because they raised his bail to 100K.
Imagine if we never said anything about this. Imagine like if no one protested about this. That this man, Ryan Le Nguyen, who shot a child because he was whatever the case. But I'm assuming it was a hate crime because I'm assuming
it's absolutely a hate crime.
I hate to say this, but if that was a little white child or a little Asian child going through his neighborhood, he probably wouldn't have blinked it at all and wouldn't have said shit.
And it's just like, to me, I'm like, now, if I was that father, I had to commend that dad.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't have been me.
Yeah.
It could not have been me. That man would have been dead. Like, you shot my child.
Who's just making a U-turn. Kids go into other people's yards all the time. It's normal shit. Like, it's
and he wasn't alone. And that's the other thing. I was like, there were a group of kids. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you're targeting this one. They're all playing in the same area. All of them.
Funny. Interesting. So, yeah, if the family has made campaigns to help with the costs. Wait, is this child alive?
Yeah, he's alive. He's fine. And he gave his testament. This poor little baby is talking into the camera like, he chased me around. He tried to get me with a sledgehammer. And then when he couldn't get me because I was too fast, like this little baby is telling you he had to run away from a grown man with a sledgehammer. And he was like, I got away because I was too fast. And then he went back for his bike and this man shot him. And he like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Like
there's evidence, and this is the thing about our justice system. I'm like, the evidence is there. It's on camera.
But yet we're being apprehensive about actually properly condemning these people. That's interesting. So what I'm trying to say is, if there's any campaigns that are going to support that family, please do. I'm sure you'll find it. I don't know if this child's name went public, but it's in Michigan, and the shooter's name, because we're all adults here and we can say it, and there's also a lot of news-related articles about him, Ryan Le Nguyen. He was the one who was guilty of shooting this child. So if you probably Google that, you'll probably find the family's resources there. So please help not Ryan Le Nguyen, but the little boy's family in case if there's any additional medical billing, or if there is a way to maybe help this kid like start his college fund. So, yeah. But yeah, like just those are a couple things that have been kind of weighing heavy on my mind because again, the whole system of white supremacy lies deep within so many communities that it affects Black people the most, or darker skinned people.
Right, and then it just makes me like. Not to really make this connection, but it does still bother me so much that you had that anti-hate law, that anti-hate bill passed for the AAPI, but it's just like you have shit like this happening and there's nothing.
Yeah. So like that's the thing. It's like I'm glad that there is an anti-hate bill now, but at the same time it's like when is it going to be applicable to all different cultures and races and not just like one? So it would be really nice if it was across the board. So yeah, so other than that, let's kind of get this episode to a close. Thank you so much for listening to Lady Boy Sings the Blues. I'm so sorry to have it on a very low note.
Downer.
Yeah, me and Kyler are actually gonna have brunch later. So
yeah, we're gonna have brunch.
We're
It's
gonna
gonna
have
be
brunch.
good vibes.
Yeah, it's gonna be good vibes. I'm gonna get all cute and shit, even though right now I'm just kind of in my
You're always cute.
Saturday cleaning best.
Sometimes but you're always cute.
Yeah, I'm sometimes cute. All right, thank you so much. If you will listen to this episode, please check it out on YouTube on Lady Blurred's podcast. You can find all the content and promotional stuff on Lady Blurred's podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, our if you guys want to just hear the auditory version of it, because obviously, like if you can't listen to the video at work, like we can. Like we can't. Like if you want to just listen to it on your headbuds at work, you can listen to it on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah.
It was a nice catch up.
It was.
Yeah.
We're here. We're back.
All right, and we'll see you
We're
guys
queer.
next time.
Bye.